Hey everyone, well today we have yet again a different problem to work on. I wasn't initially going to film this as just something I was working on myself. This is a 1964-65 Wurlitzer jukebox that I have in my front room. It's been playing, well actually for years it's been doing this. It plays well but not perfectly. The sound is a little bit, best way I can describe it is in a very minor way, a bit warbly. And it's really confused me as to why, because I've done all kinds of work on this thing and I've never been able to figure it out. Anyways, today I thought I would just tinker with it a little bit, as I do on this channel. Anyways, I didn't really think much would come of it. I tried oiling it and whatnot, so I didn't film any of that. But I have come across what is the problem with this machine. So I'm going to open it up and show you. To open this machine, there's actually a key on this side. So it's a little hard for me to film this because I'm on the tripod, but I'll try to. So I'll try to do this and lift it up with my, oh, there we go. I was able to do it with my arm there. And we'll open her up. I'm just doing this gently because I've got the thing a little bit apart already. And you'll see I've already taken the records out of it. So as I mentioned, I wasn't planning on filming any of this, but once I got into it and saw that I found the problem, I thought, you know what, maybe there'd be some people that would be interested in seeing this. Maybe this will help somebody else. So anyways, you'll notice that I was starting to clean it up and look around here. And anyways, as it turns out, I wound up taking this off because I was cleaning. Okay, I was cleaning and this was really dirty. The back end of it, I couldn't get at it. And you know what I found? Let's bring it over here. I'll just put it on the pool table here and show you. So what did I find when I turned it over and took a look? I've cleaned this up now. And this is a little bit of a recreation, because I've retaped it, but I found that this was broken in two places. It's broken here and broken here. And there was actually an old tape on there that was actually holding this thing together, believe it or not. And these were actually moving a little bit and actually allowing they're actually touching the record because this thing was moving because of the break here and here. So anyways, what we're going to do today is we are going to fix this. We're going to then reassemble it onto the Wurlitzer jukebox, and then I'm going to fire it up. So yeah, so anyways, that's what we're going to do. So you know what? Hey, let's fix this crazy thing and let's get after it. Okay, the first step here, guys, is to take this thing apart, and there would normally be 4 screws. So there'd be one here, one here, one here, and one here. As I mentioned, I've kind of put this thing back together again so I could just show you guys what I found when I found it. But I thought I would show you this bit, although it's just me taking out a couple of screws, because I want to show you what's behind it. And actually, the reason that's important to know this, because it's really the genesis or the reason why this thing broke. I can tell you that for sure. Because this piece, although it's just looking like we have this piece of metal here, it's aluminum actually, and this piece of plastic here, there's really more to it than that. And in fact, this piece and this piece are not actually physically touching. They're floating on each other, and they're meant to do that. So when we lift this off, what do we got here? We have 3 balls, 3 little, almost like marbles, okay? And they are just sitting there. So here, guess I can't. I don't think my fingers they're too slippery to pick up. But here, let me just dump them out onto the pool table. There you go, 3 marbles. So what clearly happened is somebody that probably didn't know better, because again, these screw heads are accessible from the front of the machine. When you open the lid, and like for instance, when you're loading records and whatnot, some person in the past probably thought, you know what, I'm just going to go around and make sure everything's tight, and probably tighten these things down. And when they tightened these 2 down hard, what did it do? It cracked the old 1960s plastic, which is probably 1950s technology plastic, and broke it right there just because they tightened these things down. Okay, so anyways, I just wanted to show you that because sometimes it's good to know why things break, not just how to fix them. Especially if you own one of these machines, you want to be careful And Wurlitzer made a lot of these machines. This is again 1964 Wurlitzer, but they made essentially very, very similar models with the same workings, the same setup as this for, I would say, at least 10 years. It could be 12 or 15 years, where the mechanism, which this is a part of, was essentially very, very similar, almost identical. So if you've got one of these machines, do not over tighten these nuts or these screw heads. This is what's going to happen. So now that we've talked about that, let's go and let's go fix it. Okay guys, I've been kind of experimenting with how best to glue this all together. I really want to use serious two-part adhesive for this so this does not break again. I certainly don't want to use Scotch tape like they used whenever they did. It was super yellowed Scotch tape on there. The bit that you saw was me just taping it back together so I could show you what I found. But I mean, it was, yeah, it obviously been on there for decades and decades. Scotch tape's not the right way to do this. I could use some instant glue, of course, but I want it to be stronger than that, so I want to use two-part adhesive. I've used this, no endorsement at all whatsoever, just purely for your guys' knowledge if you're dealing with plastic. But I've used this JB Weld, clear weld before. In fact, I did a video on putting a countertop into my tent trailer. Using multiple pieces of this material, which I glued all together and then fabricated, and you can't even tell it's glued together. So anyways, this stuff is really super strong, and that's why I want to use it. That's the main reason. So we're going to do that, but the question really is how to set this up, because you know, obviously this stuff is so strong that if I just lay it down on a piece of paper, I'm going to have paper stuck on the back side of this thing. So what I've come up with is some sort of approach kind of like this, where I have the cracks in open air. I've got it sitting on a super, super flat surface, so the whole thing is totally flat. And then I'm going to put these pieces in like this, lay them in with the glue on them like that, and then yeah. And then what I'm going to do is I've got a couple of, I checked around, I've got a couple of toothpicks, or actually I don't think they're toothpicks, I think they're for skewering, you know, party wieners or whatever the hell they're for. But anyways, they just happen to be about the right height. So I'm going to stick those through here like that once we get it all glued up, so that when it glues we still have our holes left. That's kind of the plan and the idea. So obviously I'm just showing you that now. We're now going to go ahead and do that. But I wanted to show you why I'm doing it, because again, I don't want this stuff to you know, to be sticking to anything else, and I want it to be super strong, so I want to use a ridiculous two-part adhesive to do that. So anyways, let's stop talking about it. Let's just do it. Okay guys, the first step in this process is going to be to mix up some adhesives. So it's nice, these little containers are nice because you can just squeeze it and it comes out in the two parts together, which is kind of nice. It kind of accurately measures it for you. We don't need a huge ton for this job. One thing I'll mention, these crazy little containers, I saved them. I don't know if you recognize what that is or not, but you probably have them. I'm guessing you do, depending on where you live in the world. But if you use any sort of liquid detergent or I think fabric softener or that type of thing comes in it as well, the liquid fabric softener, they typically have some sort of measure on them. So anyways, I save those measures. Actually, even for the granulated you know, laundry detergents, they typically come with a measure, so I don't chuck them, I save them, and they're really good for these sorts of jobs and mixing things up. Alrighty, so now what I'm going to do is just apply this onto one of the surfaces. I think I'll choose this surface and get it on there. I'm not so concerned on this piece of you know, with how frankly it looks too much, because this is pretty much obscured. Once you put the whole machine together, it's pretty hard to see any of this. I mean, heck, I didn't see it before. I've had this machine for at least a decade and I never saw the Scotch tape on there until I took the thing apart. So I'm not terribly worried. That said, I don't want to get too messy with it either. So we're trying to just be, you know, liberal but not ridiculous, if that makes any sense, with how much we apply. So, and then I think I applied it too much. This will require sitting overnight. This isn't a super fast job to do it this way. I wish it was, but we will have to let this sit. I believe we're gonna have to let this sit overnight. I probably will, just out of sheer caution. And we're not going to worry about those holes, getting those holes filled at this point for the screw holes, because again, once we have it there, we're just going to poke our little, our little cocktail skewers or whatever those things are through those holes, and they'll undoubtedly get glued in there, but then we'll just drill them out, right? That's kind of the game plan. Okay, I'm happy with how much glue I've got there. Now I'm going to just precisely set this, or relatively precisely set it back down where I believe I want it. Get this right out of our way because I don't want to bump it now. And we're going to take our pieces and put them in where they belong. Okay, there's one. Seems about right. Grab the other one. That seems about right as well. And by the way, I'm doing this on a little metal typing desk. Believe it or not, back, I don't know when, the 1950s or something like that, they had these little folding, the two sides fold out, and they're like folding, they were used for typing classes in school, apparently. They were long gone when I went to school, but it's got a nice flat metal surface, and that's why I'm using it combined with these very flat pieces. I initially was thinking I would use slats of wood or something like that, but when I tried it, it was too irregular and things would move too much. But as you can see, having something perfectly flat for this kind of job is really helpful. You know, that is really working well. I gotta say, that glue is great. I didn't think it would be this sticky this early on, so that's great. So now we're just gonna, oh, I forgot something, didn't I? I forgot something. You guys are probably yelling at your screen. So let's grab our cocktail wiener for skewers. That's what we forgot. The key thing. That's the whole thing that's going to make this work. And there you go. That actually helped because look at that. That lined it up. Obviously, I didn't know it quite lined up. Okay. Just about the right. And we're just going to let that sit. Now we're just going to walk away and do nothing for for the next 24 hours or however long I leave this. And it's going to go really slow and tedious for me, but it's going to go really quick for you, like right about now. Okay guys, it's been a couple of hours, and I think just based on I felt the glue inside the little container I was using, this thing here, and I feel that this is set up sufficiently that I can maybe try to take these cocktail wiener skewers out of the thing here now, so that I don't have to drill it later. So what I'm going to do, because of course all of the epoxy is down on this end of it, what I'm going to try to do is, rather than pulling these things out, I'm going to try to push them through, so the dry part here is getting pushed through. So I'm just going to try to turn them first, and they are very stiff. Oh yeah, push it through. Oh, whacked that. Good thing I didn't break it again. Okay, we'll try to do the same thing with this one here. Push. Oh yeah, got it. Jeez, I did it again. Well, I got lucky twice. Okay, good. So now this is definitely, I can feel the glue. It's still a little bit tacky, for sure. It's only been a couple hours, so we're just gonna leave that now. We'll leave it till it really, really sets up good. What we're going to want to do when this completely dries, and I'm not going to do it now, is we're going to want to knock all this back. We're going to want to do something to actually get this glue off. I don't really want to mess with it now because in doing so, I think I'll just I could potentially break it again. But we're going to want to get that flat. And I'm not too concerned about that, but yeah, bottom line, we have to just let this set up now. So we'll put this back where it was. We'll walk away from it again. Okay, good. Okay guys, it's been another hour or so, and what I'm going to do now is actually trim off that glue. So it's still moderately tacky, but it's hardening up for sure. And because this is an epoxy, I was thinking about it, I don't actually want it to come completely ridiculously hard because it could be really hard to get off then. So what I'm going to do is I'm using just a really sharp Olfa knife with a new blade, and I'm going to very carefully, by having the blade flat against the plastic, so I'm hopefully not putting, I'm not straining this way onto it, I'm going to try to cut the glue off. So as you can see, that's kind of what I'm doing here. So just kind of be careful about it. And okay, I'm very happy with that. We've got that pretty much okay. So it's now going to be functional for us. We're just now need to let it set up and dry before we reinstall it. So that's that. So again, I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'd love to do it now, but I got to do it tomorrow. So yeah, okay, cool. Okay, guys. So it's the next day, and our piece here is completely hardened up, which is great. All ready to go. So the next bit here for us to do is to actually go and put it all together. So that's what we're going to do next. So as I mentioned before, there's some marbles that have to go into here first, and they just drop in like this. They actually get held in these circles here. So just like that, and this enables this this plastic piece and this to kind of float amongst between each other like that. And then we just put this on top like this, and then we just screw it all together. So that's what we're going to do now. Now, as I mentioned before, you do not want these tight, okay? Because if you do, what will happen is it will actually just break it the same way it got broken before, because you're putting tension against, against these edges. So we just want to get this thing on there. We want the screws to be bottomed out, but we don't want to get ridiculous with it, because if we do, we're just going to break it again. It's just the way this thing is designed. Yeah, good with that. Okay, great. Look at that. And you'll notice that basically, because that's what, the part that you're going to see on the jukebox, we can almost see almost no issues with that. Like there's a little bit of, you can see it a little bit here and a little bit here if you know what you're looking for. But you'll notice when we actually get this installed in the jukebox, you're not even going to really notice this, because you've got the records in the tray as well. And a lot of that's going to get blocked out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of Windex or something and just give this one final cleaning, and then we're going to go and install it on the jukebox. So that is the next step. Okay guys, just before we install this piece, now that we've got it all fixed up, and that's the back side, that's where you can really see where the brakes were a little bit better. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what this is, because this is not a purely decorative piece. This is actually was causing my jukebox problems, and the problem I was getting, as I mentioned prior, was sort of a warbling or an inconsistency in speed, and it was probably both of those things. And what was going on is, let me just explain a little bit. These balls here, when the record gets loaded, first of all, it plays vertically on this machine. So just imagine my hand being the record, okay? And it locks into the actual mechanism, which is on the other side, the opposite side of this piece. And these balls, these captured marbles that you can see there, are to allow the record, if it does touch this face, to actually not touch it. They will instead touch these balls, and these balls will roll around and not in any way hurt the record. You'll also notice the position of them is the center. So let me just grab a record here and show you what I mean. So if the record was on here, okay, it would touch those balls, and it would touch the record in the center area here, not on the playing surface. It really shouldn't touch there at all, but if it did, that's where it would touch the record and it would not hurt the record. So that is the purpose of those balls, okay? So they're actually quite important. The reason this machine was playing weird is because these pieces here, you'll note that we fixed, were just basically hanging there on some crappy Scotch tape after somebody broke this. And they were actually rubbing the records. They were touching the records, which was both slowing the record down a little bit intermittently whenever it touched and causing this weird warbling effect. So anyways, hopefully that explains a little bit more about, not just, the fact that this thing was broken, but what crazy weird effect it had on the machine, which I have to say had me completely confused because I've been working on this machine for a long time, mechanically, looking at all kinds of other things as you'd expect, thinking it was motor speed or other issues with the machine, and I could never trace it out. I put an RPM meter on the motor and it would always put out 45 RPM, so it was very confusing. Anyways, hopefully this helps somebody, but without droning on more and more, let's put the machine back together again now and play a record. Okay guys, for lighting purposes, I'm going to try to do this repair with the machine turned on, which probably isn't the very best of ideas, but I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. So there's 3 areas where we we actually have to put in we have to put bolts in the bottom here. And we also have to put a nut and washer on here. And it may seem pretty simple, and it kind of is, but it's one of those things where you do have to, if you're doing this job, you have to unload all of the records to even get in there. Otherwise, the records are sitting out here and there's no way to get at it. But even with the records out, it's a little bit difficult. The other thing I'll mention, if you're doing this, you got to make sure that this flapper is in the right position, okay? So it can either be here or it can be here, okay? But it needs to be sitting in that channel. If it's sitting out or it falls down, that is not going to work for you. So it needs to be sitting right there, okay? Now we're going to just try to position this on there. Probably should grab my glasses for this work. Okay guys, we're just starting with putting a bolt in here first. That clicking you hear is the cancel mechanism that gets actuated when this gets turned. So if this ever turns, it will actually activate the cancel mechanism so that it'll stop turning the machine if a record gets jammed. But again, I'm trying to do this with the lights on so you can see what's going on. Just disregard that clicking noise. It doesn't matter too much. Okay. So that's one in the bottom. This is where having small hands would be really helpful. Okay guys, so now we need to go and put these spacers in which go between this and the mounting area at the back, and these slots slide in between the 2 pieces at the bottom and go over top of the bolt, the bolt. So they kind of slide onto the bolt like this, but in between these 2 pieces. Good. Okay, now we need to do the same on this side. Hopefully, I'll try to do this so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Just going to move that a little bit. In between here. There we go. That one fell in as well. Nice. Okay, so now we can just tighten all of this stuff up. So that's going to be pretty simple. Sort of. So we'll try to get our fingers in there and do as much as we can with our fingers. Again, apologies for the clicking. Once I get this done up a little more, I'll demonstrate what's actually going on here. So again, I've got those just loose, but I can kind of show you now. So if a record jammed in here, this is designed to actually turn the machine off, okay? So you got to imagine it spinning away, spinning away, spinning away. You know, let's say a record gets jammed in there. If it twirls, you hear that clicking, that would actually shut the whole machine off and it would stop turning so it doesn't, you know, completely ruin the machine or ruin the record you're playing. So that's what's going on with all that clicking. Again, I've just got the lights on here, so hope to kind of help you guys see this. Otherwise, it would be fully in the dark. So I'm just trying to, you know, show you what's going on. So I'm just going to tighten these guys up now. Okay guys, and that's it. We've now got it back installed on the machine where it belongs. So that is fantastic. Now all we need to do is to go and put a record in it and give it a go, see if she works. So that's going to be the next thing. I will say though that it's going to be difficult for me to really show this to you properly because of YouTube's copyright rules around music. I'm going to try to find an obscure record that hopefully doesn't, you know, infiltrate or bother their, you know, or mess with the copyright rules around YouTube. If it does, I'm going to have to take the video down or edit this one. But I will show this to you with playing a record, but unfortunately I got to play a really, you know, frankly, a song that you've almost assuredly never heard and probably will sound terrible. But that's just because of the YouTube copyright rules. So forgive me for that, but I want to show you how the machine works and demonstrate that it does work. So that will be the next step. So let's get after it. Okay guys, so we've got the machine fully put back together again, and now we're going to demonstrate that it works. So I'm not going to play very much of this song. Frankly, you don't want me to because it's not terribly great. But we're going to play, I don't know if you can quite read that, but it's Sweet Talk by the Fireballs. We're only going to play a few bars of it just to show you that the machine works. I'm hopeful that, you know, that YouTube won't pick up on this as a copyrighted song, but if it is, I'm going to have to re-edit this video or delete it or something. So I hope that doesn't happen. But I wanted to show you that the machine works. So we've popped it into the slot for M5 there. So I'm going to press M5. And you'll notice it's twirl. It goes until it finds M5. It's not going to load the record vertically into the machine, and now it's going to play it. And there we go. And there you go. I don't think we're going to play much more of it than that. I just wanted to show you guys that it works. There, I've hit the reject button. It's now rejecting the record, and that's the end of that song. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this this small Wurlitzer repair video. Hopefully it helps somebody. If you've got an issue like I did, where you've got a weird problem that your records seem to be going at the wrong speed or seem to be warbling, which is the best way I can describe the issue I had, maybe you've got a similar problem. This is probably a one-off. It's probably a rare one. But then again, maybe not, because somebody that owns one of these machines thinking that maybe they should tighten these screws really tight, that's what broke this machine. Just simply tightening these couple of, well, probably all four of them, but specifically these two, is what broke that machine because of those marbles that are in there. This just needs to be tight, but not over tight and not really, you know, that's what broke that that 1960s plastic. So anyways, guys, that's the end of this one. Like all of the videos, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. I could really use the subscribers. And if you like this video, please like it, and most of all, leave a comment. I'd like to know what you think about the Wurlitzer Jukebox. Let me know if there's other videos you'd like me to do about the Wurlitzer Jukebox, or any other thoughts on your mind. Let me know. I do reply to every comment, and I really appreciate it, guys. So anyways, hope everybody's doing well, and that's it for this one. Bye for now.